welcome to SciFit Academy. So today we are discussing our rapid revision program in biology. So today we have unit revision paper that under this unit revision we are discussing mainly nervous system, endocrine system and sensory organs. So here this session mainly we allocate for discussing that MCQ part, especially MCQ from 2019 A-level to 2025, because the past paper MCQs are the most important part. So these questions you need to do, and you need to analyze these questions, which questions that you are incorrectly do, and also relevant theory parts again you need to practice. That's really important. So most of the guys are missing that part because like they are doing MCQs, and especially the second try, third try, when you are doing like these MCQ answers also just in your memory. So like answers mark karne ekama නෙමෙයි. So analyzing these answers and also that writing explanations is very important, right? මොකද ඒ අදාළ question එකට අදාළ වෙන theory part එකකින් another question can come from next year, right? So ඒ වගේ patterns I think you guys identified because I put this tute 1 week before, like, so you have enough time to complete this. And especially I think registered students, you have some Google sheet for everyone. So I mark how many questions correct or wrong there. So then you also can just analyze how many percentage that you correct in past paper questions, because never another papers වල කලින් theory කරද්දි past paper questions කියන එක කරනවා. ඒ නිසා දක්ලාට මේ questions වලට familiar ඇති. But a rapid revision program definitely we need to cover this, because without past papers අපිට then නැත්නම් අපිට school papers, provincial papers also we need to do under same topic. එතකොට but මොකද මම past paper session එක මේ අද කරන්නේ, especially this is really important. Okay, so we'll move to first question 2019 A level. Just බලන්න 2019 A level වල. So 24th question comes, what they say, in humans voluntary muscle movements are controlled by. Then here the answer is quite easy, that cerebellum. Fifth one is the answer. But what are the other functions of cerebellum? Can you just quickly put in the chat? What are the other functions of cerebellum? Just not enough time, but quickly type if you have remember, like හිතන්න structured ප්‍රශ්නයක් කියලා. Right, mainly cerebellum doing maintaining posture and balance එකෙන් තමයි අපි cerebellum කියපු ගමන් අපිට මතක් වෙන්න ඕන word එක balance. So balance, posture and balance, so that's really important. And the other one is this voluntary muscle movements, coordination of voluntary muscle movements. And there's another one that, but it's not common one. Then ඊළඟ paper එක මේක දෙන්න පුළුවන්. හරි, helps in learning and remembering motor skills. Then helps in learning and remembering motor skills කරන ගොඩක් වෙලාවට කට්ටිය cerebrum එකට යන්න තියෙන chance එක වැඩි. මොකද remembering, learning, so that kind of things doing cerebrum. But මෙතන තියෙන්නේ helps in learning and remembering motor skills. කියන අපි මොකක් හරි කරන වැඩ motor skills කියන්නේ අපි like running, jumping, like that kind of things learn කරන්න and also remember කරන්න. This cerebellum is helping. So those are the three functions of cerebellum. So what are the functions of other things? Thalamus is here, pons varolii is here, midbrain, medulla oblongata, and can you just add hypothalamus here also? I will give 2 to 3 minutes. At least one function you need to write each and every one. Thalamus, pons varolii, midbrain, medulla oblongata. I think you have a book for separate for unit revision. So just write there. Put 2019 24th question, and we are doing nervous system, endocrine and sensory. So quickly write another functions. So these four, and also hypothalamus also. Okay, first thalamus. Thalamus, what the function? Thalamus mainly doing that it acts as a relay station. That sensory inputs they get, and then thalamus can get, and they redistribute into upper areas like again cerebrum එකට උඩට යවන පහලින් ගන්න එක උඩට යවන. හරි. එතකොට මේක අර අපි කියනවා රිලේ ස්ටේෂන් එකක් විදිහට වර්ක් වෙනවා කියලා. බලන්න මෙතන ෆන්ක්ෂන්ස් යට දීලා තියෙනවා. The thalamus relays and redistribute nerve impulses from most parts of the brain to cerebral cortex. එතකොට මෙයා sensory informations collect කරනවා, and ඒවා දැන් හැම sensory information එකක්ම දැන් මෙහෙම sensory information ගොඩක් එනවා. මේක නිකම්ම distribute කරොත් මොකද වෙන්නේ? හරියට මේක effectively අර timing කියන එක ගොඩක් important නේ. timing කියන එක වැඩියෙන් යනවා. but ඔයා හරියට මේක classified කරලා හරියට යවුවොත් එහෙම මොකද වෙන්නේ? can send it to particular region and also can get quick actions, right? again අපි දන්න visual කියලා visual නා occipital lobe තමයි relevant වෙන්නේ. හරි. occipital lobe තමයි relevant වෙන්නේ. එතකොට ඒ වගේ අර certain areas there. So that certain areas හරියට target කරලා they send these impulses. Okay, then pons varoli and medulla oblongata මේ දෙක quite similar. Functions are also similar. දැන් අපි textbook එකේ බැලුවොත් animal form and function quickly යන්නකෝ pons varoli and medulla oblongata here. The pons varoli වල functions තියෙන next 7-8 page එකේ උඩනේ. මේ බලන්න first two functions of medulla oblongata and pons varoli are same. Transfers information between PNS and the midbrain and forebrain. PNS and the midbrain and forebrain. Right. එතකොට අනිත් function එක second one coordinates large scale body movements. Coordinates large scale body movements like running, jumping, walking, climbing likewise. So ඒ දෙක similar, right? අනිත් එක තමයි medulla oblongata එකේ තියෙනවා respiratory center එකයි cardiovascular center එක. Respiratory center එකෙන් respiratory rate එක control කරනවා, and also cardiovascular center controls the heart rate. So these two in medulla oblongata under the function of medulla oblongata, but respiratory rate එක control කරන්නේ coordination involved in pons varoli because it has two centers called pneumotaxica and neonatic. Those are not in syllabus, but that's helping regulates the respiration. So එතකොට medulla oblongata function pons varoli function easy ring මතක තියාගන්න. අනිත් එක ඊට අමතරව medulla oblongata කියන දේ තමයි මේ අර මොකද controls involuntary reflexes, controlling involuntary reflexes such as vomiting, coughing, sneezing. So likewise involuntary reflexes they control. So those are the functions. එතකොට midbrain තමයි හිතුවේ. midbrain and the hypothalamus. Midbrain doing again relay station. It acts as a relay station. Again sensory inputs ගන්නවා, again redistribution is doing, right? Midbrain function act as a relay station for ascending and descending nerve fibers. Apart from that, what are the other functions? Coordinates auditory and visual reflexes. So that's again another function, right? So that's also important. Receives and integrates sensory information and sends it to particular regions of the forebrain. ඒක අර relay station කියන එකත් එක්කම තමයි second එක යන්නේ. But third එක new coordinates auditory and visual reflexes. Although auditory reflexes coordinate auditory reflexes කියන සමහර අවුරුදු වල දීලා තියෙනවා. කියනවා කියන MCQ points. Some years they mention coordinates visual reflexes. So that you need to remember if කොහොම ඇහුවා this you need to get the marks, right? Hypothalamus. What are the functions of hypothalamus? There are big list here. So mainly you need to remember that sleep and wake cycle. So ඒක ගොඩක් වෙලාවට papers වල ආපු තැන. Regulate sleep and wake cycle and autonomic center එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒකෙන් autonomic nervous system එක control කරන්න පුළුවන්. Especially fight and flight response එක දෙන්න. Initiate flight and fight response and thirst and appetite. Thirst එකයි appetite එකයි control කරනවා. And regulates body temperature. Regulates body temperature. So මොකද body temperature control කරන්නත් hypothalamus having particular center that involves in controlling body temperature. Right, under homeostasis I think you have learned that part. So here those things: thirst, appetite, sleep and wake cycle, temperature control, autonomic nervous system with fight and flight response, and also plays a role in sexual behavior. So that's also in under functions. So those are the functions of it. And then when you close to the exam also, again just check whether you remember this. Then මොකද අපි දන්නේ මොන තැනින් මොන ෆන්ක්ෂන් එක දෙයිද කියලා. ඒකට ඔයා මේ වෙන ෆැමිලියර් වෙන්න ඕන. at least පොඩ්ඩක් හරි ලියා ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඔය පැටලුණොත් කරන්න බෑ. ඒ නිසා ලියලා write and practice because that's important when you move for a pass. So then 25th question: which of the following is the correct pathway of light and nerve impulses for the vision of human? So here I and vision කියන එක full essay එකක්, like I think 21 A level or 22 A level they asked this question. I එක ඔයිට කලින් year එක ආවා 2008 වල. Skin එකත් I can't remember the exact year, but skin also asked. But in the new syllabus they asked the eye, right? එතකොට eye එක full essay එකක්, but here I just explain what are the parts here. So here then cornea කියන එක every answer is having cornea. Then after cornea, what is the structure? That aqueous humor. When you move for the book, just look at the structure of eye. Where? Just reproduction. Here. Eye structure. Here you can see. So it starts from cornea. Then there's a space that filled with a fluid. So that's aqueous fluid, right? Aqueous fluid. And it opens to what? Lens. It opens to lens, right? Through the iris, right? Opens to lens. Then after lens, another fluid which we called vitreous humor and a vitreous fluid. So that also mentioned here. Vitreous body කියලා name කරලා vitreous humor කියලා කියනවා. And then the retina comes. Then retina එකේ structure එක ගත්තාම first මොනවද තියෙන්නේ? Photoreceptors, right? Photoreceptors two types: rods and cones. Rods having rhodopsin, cones having photopsin. Rhodopsin involved in black and white and dark vision, and photopsin involved in bright vision and color vision especially. එතකොට photoreceptors වලින් පස්සේ තියෙනවා bipolar neurons. Then ganglion cells, right? Bipolar neuron, ganglion cells. After it start optic nerve fiber. So this optic nerve fiber, where it goes in the brain, it travels to occipital lobe. So the main set එකම ලියවෙන්න ඕන. දැන් මොකද question එකේ they given that start from cornea, then aqueous humor. Aqueous humor in every fourth again vitreous humor, so we can reject fourth answer, and also fifth one also we can reject. So first three තමයි ඉස්සරහට යන්න තියෙන්නේ. First දැන් මෙතන lens, then vitreous humor, photoreceptors. Then after photoreceptors, first answer having ganglion cells, then only third answer having bipolar cells. මොනවද මුලින් තියෙනවා කිව්වා අපි? Bipolar cells. So bipolar cells තමයි first තියෙන්නේ. ඒතකොට bipolar cells, then ganglion cells, then optic nerve. So optic nerve travels to where? Travels to occipital lobe of cerebrum. So answer is third answer. Okay, 25th done. Then 26th question. In which of the following responses the hormone and its main function are correctly matched? So here they gave you 5 hormones and also its function. So what the answer? I think the answer mostly you guys have correctly marked. The guys who sent me the answers, so they correctly marked. The answer is first one, right? So melatonin doing the regulating biological rhythm, right? So if you wake up in a certain time period, so then about 5-6 a.m. here, so then they got regularly, that normally without alarm also you can wake up that time. Or if you go to bed in certain time, so then also like you will be sleepy at that time, right? So because biological rhythm is makes for that. That's why that people ask that now mostly doctors and teachers also ask, don't study without sleeping, because our biological system expect especially 11 to 12 to 4 like time period you need deep sleep, right? So because deep sleep is important for creating your memory, right? So every time memory create just you can do work, but if you are targeting to keep it that in memory, so that doesn't happen again. So that kind of thing also can. One thing is focus, and this one also important. Again 12 o'clock you need to go bed, and then 5 o'clock 6 o'clock you can wake up and start doing continue that. Okay, so then melatonin secreted by how? Which gland secreting melatonin? We call those glands endocrine glands. So which gland secreting melatonin? That's female body. And just can you guys just write what the other 4 hormones, what is the gland is responsible for secreting this hormone, and also what the function. So can you quickly write, then we'll quickly discuss that. I will give just 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, then second one, thymosin secreted by thymus gland. So what the function of it? Function when maturation of T lymphocytes, and it's mainly that one, but in your book they mention another one also, another addition for that, the regulation part. Just here we are, thymus gland here. So they mention what regulates development and maturation. Regulates development and maturation of T lymphocytes, which are important components of specific immunity. Okay. I think you guys done adaptive immunity. We also discussed last week excretion and immunity questions. Right. So then next question. Next question means like next point, adrenaline secreted by adrenal gland කියලා ගොඩක් කරලා adrenal gland කියලා හරියන්නේ adrenal medulla because adrenal cortex also secreting different hormones. What are the hormones secreted by adrenal cortex? Those are cortisol and aldosterone. So adrenaline secreted by adrenal medulla, adrenaline and noradrenaline, also called as epinephrine and norepinephrine, right? So then adrenaline can involve in short term stress responses. So I thought a short term stress responses වලට නම් ඒකෙන් metabolic rate decrease කරලා හරියන්නේ නැහැ, metabolic rate increase කරන්න ඕනේ. Increase in metabolic rate තමයි මෙතන වෙන්නේ. Then oxytocin secreted by who release oxytocin? Posterior pituitary. We know there are two parts of pituitary, anterior and posterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary having lots of hormones, but posterior pituitary only secreting two hormones, ADH and oxytocin. So oxytocin mainly those two hormones actually produced by hypothalamus. Then we know hypothalamus is connect with pituitary, anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary both. So then this posterior pituitary can store this ADH and oxytocin, and according to the requirement of the human body, so they secrete. Water absorption වැඩිපුර කරගන්න ඕන නම් kidney tubules වල, then they secrete ADH. If need to ejaculate breast milk, then oxytocin comes. And also oxytocin, another common function, that is it's involved in myometrium contractions in uterus, right? Myometrial contractions of uterus. So this one oxytocin කියන එක තව ගොඩක් functions තියෙනවා. ඔන්න ඔබ නිකන් AI එකේ ගහලා බලන්න what are the functions of oxytocin කියලා. Involved in a lot of functions in our body. So right, then fifth one, parathyroid hormone secreted by parathyroid gland. And what's the function of it? Parathyroid gland. What is the function of parathyroid hormone? That parathyroid hormone can increase blood calcium levels. Right? So blood calcium levels increase කරන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට මේ blood calcium levels increase කරනවා කියන එක that parathyroid hormone doing three things. දැන් අපිට නිකම්ම blood calcium level අඩු කරන්න වැඩි කරන්න බෑ. අපි කොහොමද අපිට ඒක voluntary control කරන්න බෑ. එහෙනම් calcium තියෙන food ටික ගන්න පුළුවන්. We can't do that. So how body is doing that? There are three mechanisms. This one also can ask in exam. I think they asked in previous syllabus also. We have three mechanisms, calcium levels up කරගන්න. One is that increase the absorption of calcium 2+ in the gut, in the small intestine. Again, අපේ food වල තියෙන calcium 2+ absorption එක වැඩි කරන්න පුළුවන්. And the other one is that selective reabsorption. Selective reabsorption occurs in kidney tubules. So it's a selective process. So if blood needs calcium 2+ more, then that hormone can increase calcium 2+ reabsorption process. And the other one is bones, releasing calcium 2+ from bones. මේකට ඇත්තටම osteoclast කියලා bone cell එකක involvement එකත් එක්ක වෙන්නේ. That's you not in your syllabus, osteoclast function. So they release calcium 2+ into bones. දැන් ඔය osteoporosis වගේ හැදෙන්න reason එකක් වෙනවා ඔය osteoclast activity එක වැඩි වෙන එක. Some patients coming like that, they are having osteoporosis because due to the abnormal activities of osteoclast. That is, blood calcium levels අඩුයි කියන්නේ. ඒතකොට අඩුයි නම් වැඩි කරන්න එපා. වැඩි කරන්න if your foods වලින් එන්නේ නැත්නම් calcium supplements ගන්නෙත් නැත්නම් then where it can go for bones. ඒක තමයි deposit එක calcium. So they go for that. So what is the hormone that lowering blood calcium level? If it goes high, which hormone involved in lowering blood calcium level? Which is calcitonin. Calcitonin. Who secrete calcitonin? Thyroid gland. Thyroid gland. Right? Thyroid gland. And the thyroid gland secreting another two hormones, T3 and T4, triiodothyroid and thyroxine. So these hormones involved in for what? Maintain basal metabolic rate. Maintain basal metabolic rates, right? So එතකොට අපි fully මේක describe කරා. මේක එන්න පුළුවන් තව areas ගැන පොඩ්ඩක් බලලා. I think it's clear. If you have any questions, just put in the chat or you can raise hand if you need to ask it verbally. Yeah, then we'll move to 45th one, last question from 2019 paper. Which of the following contributes for the maintenance of resting potential of a neuron? Resting potential. So then neuron එකකට signal එකක් impulse එකක් එන්න කලින් normally තියෙන එක තමයි අපි කියන්නේ resting potential කියලා. ඔයාලගේ book එකේ ඔක තියෙනවා මේ කොහොමද action potential එකක් හැදෙන්නේ කියන එක. So then මේ graph එක, this is really important graph, generation of action potential. So you can see in red color they show the resting potential period. So දැන් අපි දන්නවා nerves through signals යන්නේ as a small current. So small current having volt value. So what the resting potential value? Normally ඔක දැන් for previous syllabus එකේ කලින් තිබ්බ syllabus එකේ value එකයි මේ syllabus එකේ ඒගොල්ලෝ දෙන values ui ටිකක් change කරලා තියෙනවා. Resting potential value they mention as a range. It's typically between minus 60 millivolt to minus 80 millivolt. Minus 60 millivolt to minus 80 millivolt, right? So resting membrane potential is maintained by කියලා. Then this is a description. So these are really important because ගොඩක් අය වරද්දන තැනක්. ඒ නිසා පොඩ්ඩක් බලමු time එක අරගෙන. Sometimes we cannot finish this tune, but anyway we are doing something, so we need to do it perfectly. So anyway I will discuss that. Distribution of ion concentration inside and outside of the neuron. In a non-conducting neuron, the concentration of K plus is higher inside. Non-conducting neuron එක K plus is higher inside the cell, right? While concentration of sodium plus higher outside, right? එතකොට මේකේ there are large anions inside the cell in addition to some Cl minus ions, right? Large anions inside and cell. Well, Cl minus කියන එක කලින් තිබ්බේ outside the cell membrane, but now it's also including out inside. So sodium plus විතරයි එළියේ තියෙන්නේ. Cl minus, K plus and large anions also inside. විදිහට පොඩි image එකක් දාගන්න. ඒතර පැටලෙන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද මේ question එකේ first sentence එක ගත්තොත් they mention that, but actually sharp they not question here. But next year they can ask unequal distribution of sodium plus, potassium plus, Cl minus and large anions inside and outside the neuron, right? So that they mention like that. Then B, active transport of sodium plus out of the neuron and K plus into the neuron in 3:2 ratio. Is that correct? Sodium plus actively transported out of the neuron, K plus into the neuron, right? So we'll go for that. Then make it up, sodium potassium pump here. Sodium potassium pump, really important and very significant process. This pump helps to maintain sodium plus and potassium plus gradient across the membrane by transporting 3 sodium plus out of the cell for every 2k plus transport in k plus දෙකක් ඇතුළට sodium plus 3ක් එළියට. Sodium plus out of the cell. We can make fully අපි describe කරොත් we don't have much time. The sodium plus එළියම outside නේ තියෙන්නේ කොහොමද? ඒතකොට කෙනෙක්ට question එකක් එන්න පුළුවන් ඇයි ඒක ආය outside active transport එකෙන් යවන්නේ කියලා. That the answer is sodium plus can leak into inside, right? So then actively they need to transport sodium plus outside, otherwise that resting membrane potential are minus 60 to minus 80 millivolt, so that we can't, that neuron can't maintain, right? Right, okay, so potassium plus like that. So there are channels here, potassium channels, sodium plus channels, like, so those can leak, then responsible for leaking of these ions. Okay, then next point, what the next point say? See, opening of more potassium channels than sodium plus channels in the neuron membrane. Yeah, at the resting membrane, resting potential, so potassium plus තමයි වැඩිපුර open වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. Sodium plus අඩුයි, right? They have a action potential negatively, more sodium channels are open, then sodium plus move inside. Then what happened? That positivity inside the neuron goes up, right? It goes up. ඒක තමයි අර graph එකේ දැන් මේ මෙතන action potential graph එකේදී you can see it's initially resting membrane potential එක minus 60 to minus 80. So that increase and come to plus 40 like value, right? Plus 40 වගේ value එකකට එනවා. මොකද sodium plus move to inside. So දැන් මෙතන question එක හැබැයි අපිට තියෙන resting membrane potential. So just we'll get the second point of this paragraph. Selective permeability of plasma membrane to potassium plus and sodium plus ions. Selective permeability. හැම එකටම එකම විදිහට යන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ කියන්නේ. There are leaky potassium channels and sodium channels, which are leaky channels, highlight leaky channels, which are membrane bound proteins. Potassium channels allow only potassium ions to pass. Potassium විතරයි pass, whereas sodium channels allow only sodium plus to pass, right? These channels are leaky and allow potassium plus and sodium plus to diffuse according to their concentration gradient. However, there are more leaky potassium channels open than sodium channels. However, there are more leaky potassium channels are open, right? So resting membrane potential එකේදී මොකද වෙන්නේ? Leaky potassium channels are open than sodium channels. These potassium channels allow net outflow of sodium levels due to chemical concentration gradient. So that's really important part for our answer. More leaky, right? Net outflow of sodium. Okay, so C is correct. Then D, අපි ඒ text එක fully completed, resting membrane potential text එක. Then C එක correct, D, A correct, B correct, C correct. D, transport of more sodium plus into the intracellular fluid. Intracellular, intercellular fluid. Intracellular means into the cell, right? Inside the cell. So the sodium plus intracellular transport කරන්නේ potassium කියන්නේ මෙතන කියන්නේ අර more sodium plus නේ අර leak වෙන එක හරි, but more sodium plus transport කරන්නේ action potential එකේ. So this is wrong, right? Intracellular fluid than potassium plus, that's completely wrong. E, transport Cl minus from the neuron to the extracellular fluid. Transport Cl minus from the neuron to the extracellular fluid. That's also not mentioned in the text also, that's wrong. So then A, B, C are the answers. So in fifth one will be the answer. Okay, that's 2019 paper. We discussed relevant theory parts also. That's why we take some more time. We get, I think, 35 minutes for just for the 2019 paper. Anyway, I think you get idea, and these are questionable areas. I question වෙන්න පුළුවන් areas. එතකොට ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයාගේ අර C එකක් B එකක් වගේ it will help, but ඒකට යනවා fully ඔයාට complete කරන්න වෙනවා full areas ඔක්කොම. හරි. This, if you properly do past papers, marking schemes කටපාඩම් කරොත් හරියට you can go for C pass line. C, yeah, just C වගේ but හොඳට analyze කරන්න ඕනේ explanations ලියලා pass මම කියන්නේ මේ past papers වලින් පුළුවන් වැඩි. But when you are doing provincial papers and that school papers, they are ඔය ටික හොඳට analyze කරලා ගත්තොත් මේ last period එකේ can go for 8, right? 25th, select the response. 2020 paper now, right? 25th question, select the response that correctly indicates the part of the human brain and its function. So there are 5 here also. Thalamus, regulation of appetite. No, we just discussed earlier as well. So regulation of appetite done by hypothalamus, right? Hypothalamus. Then maintenance of posture. Maintenance of posture and balance done by cerebellum. Third one, coordination of visual reflexes. Coordination of visual and auditory reflexes done by midbrain, right? So that's correct. Metanara auditory kaalana, but visual is here. So then it's correct. Fourth one, Pons-Varoli, regulation of sleep and awake cycle. No, it's regulation of sleep and awake cycle done by hypothalamus. Then cerebellum, initiation of fight and flight response. No, initiation of fight and flight response done by cow. That's hypothalamus, right? So fifth wrong, fourth wrong, second wrong, first wrong. So third one is the only answer. So all the functions we wrote earlier, I got then 2019 හරියට analyze කරලා ගිය ළමයට 2020 paper එකේ this question is pretty easy, right? Because all the things we discussed earlier. Then 26th one, in the retina, same one again comes. I එක අපි discuss කරාට 2019 ආයෙත් එනවා. In the retina of the human cell, the cell layers are arranged from the choroid to vitreous body, vitreous humor respectively. Choroid වලින්ද vitreous humor එකට අහන්න. එතකොට epithelial layer එක තමයි first we need to get. Then bipolar cells, then ganglion cells, bipolar, ganglion and photoreceptors. I think you remember that image I showed you earlier. Human eye. Here this one. So choroid වල ඉඳලානේ අහන්නේ. එතකොට optic nerve fiber, එතන තියෙන epithelial pigmented epithelium. Optic fiber එක පිටිපස්සෙම නේද optic pigmented epithelium එකේ start වුණොත් එතන අහන්නේ choroid වලින්. They ask choroid to vitreous body ne? Arrange choroid to vitreous body. Yes, choroid to vitreous body. Right. එතකොට හරි. එතකොට අපි යන්න ඕනේ epithelium එකේ ඉඳලා. choroid කියන එක තියෙන එළියෙන් vitreous body එක අයිති වෙන. එතකොට sorry, choroid කියන ඇතුලෙන් then vitreous body කියන එක මේ මෙතන බලන්න image එක. Here, choroid is the second layer. Then vitreous humor. එතකොට අපි යන්න ඕනේ outside to inside. Outside to inside. එතකොට අපිට retina එක හම්බ වෙනවා. retina meet වෙනවා. එතකොට inside යන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට first optic fiber area එකේ ඉඳලා එන්න ඕනේ. Yes. එතකොට මෙතන epithelial layer first, then epithelial layer එකෙන් පස්සේ bipolar cells and photoreceptors, epithelial cells, photoreceptors, then bipolar cells and ganglion cells. Here the image, pigmented epithelium, then photoreceptors, bipolar cells, ganglion cells. පැටලෙනවා හරි. ඔක පැටලෙන්න පුළුවන් question එක. හරි දැන් okay reverse ගියොත් මොකද වෙන්න ඕනේ? ganglion cells තමයි මුලින් එන්න ඕනේ. එහෙනම් ganglion cells, bipolar cells, photoreceptors, epithelial layer. opposite ගියොත්. මෙතන එන්න ඕනේ epithelial cells වල ඉඳලා. Right. Okay, then we'll move to 27th question, stimulation of sympathetic division of the autonomic nervous system. Right. So sympathetic, parasympathetic. Sympathetic කියන්නේ fight and flight response. It gives like හැමදාම කියන example එක තමයි soldier කෙනෙක් ගැන හිතන්න. When he goes for battlefield, its sympathetic nervous system is activated. When it comes to his home or the resting area, then parasympathetic nervous system activates. Generally, okay. Battlefield is sympathetic nervous system. එතකොට ඉතින් battlefield එකේ ඉන්න කෙනෙක් දැන් මෙතන sympathetic එකේ stimulation එක එතකොට decreases rate of heartbeat. Bad rate of heartbeat not bad. එතකොට increase වෙනවා rate of heartbeat. Promotes digestion. No, promotes නැහැ inhibit කරනවා digestion. බඩගිනි දැනෙන්නේ නැහැ. Constrict pupil of the eye. No, dilate pupil of eye වෙන්න ඕනේ. Stimulates urination. No, stimulate වෙලා හරියන්නේ නැහැ. Promotes ejaculation of semen. මේක විතර පොඩක් වෙනස් වෙනවා. So ejaculation of semen එක sympathetic nervous goes under sympathetic nervous system එකේ. Create some emergency situation. Fight or flight response එකක් හදනවා එතන. So the fifth one is the answer. ඔයාලා කට්ටිය දන්නේ නැති හින්දා තමයි that gives for as the answer because ගොඩක් අය වරදිනවා. 20 හරියට කියුවේ නැත්තම් මොකද අනිත් හතර රිජෙක්ට් කරන්න පුළුවන් නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ. ඔයාලට correct answer එක direct බලන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම නැත්තම් if you reject other four answers then you can again choose the correct answer. ඔය approaches දෙකම use කරන්න පුළුවන් when we are doing MCQs if you are in first try like so just follow fine. We are doing another 7 papers like weekly we are doing MCQ paper and structured paper during our paper writing sessions, so means you can get a lot of experience. An essay paper we give as a timer paper as in your home you need to do and submit. Okay, then 28th question, the hormone that has a trophic effect and non-trophic effect is trophic effect and non-trophic effect, which one? It's GH. So this clearly mentioned in your book under endocrine. Just go to that. Here. Here, the anterior pituitary synthesizes specific hormones. The anterior pituitary connects with the hypothalamus through portal blood vessels. In response to specific releasing hormones secreted from the hypothalamus, anterior pituitary secretes its specific hormones to bloodstream. Some hormones secreted by anterior pituitary redirects the chemical signals from hypothalamus to other endocrine glands. No, important. Some hormones secreted by the anterior pituitary redirect chemical signals from hypothalamus to other endocrine glands. These anterior pituitary hormones are called trophic hormones. Right? කියන්නේ ඒගොල්ලෝ අර hypothalamus එකේ influence එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒ influence එක ඒගොල්ලෝ redirect කරනවා අදාළ gland එකට. දැන් TSH කියලා හිතන TSH hormone එක stimulate කරනවා TRH වලින්. TRH හදන්නේ hypothalamus එක. අපි ඕකට කියනවා මේ hormone axis කියලා. TRX තියෙනවා උඩින්ම. ඊට පස්සේ TSH තියෙනවා. Then that thyroxine and thyroxine and calcitonin, right? එතකොට ACTH also like that. ACTH will stimulate කරන් තියෙනවා CRH කියලා hormone එක. CRH stimulate ACTH, then ACTH acts on adrenal cortex and stimulate aldosterone and cortisol secretion. එන තව endocrine gland එකක් මත වැඩ කරනවා. These anterior pituitary hormones are called trophic hormones, as specific target site is another endocrine gland or endocrine cell. කියන්නේ වැඩ කරන්නේ endocrine කියන්නේ ඒ දැන් සාමාන්‍ය අපි දන්නේ හෝමෝන් එක ඉන්වෝල්ව් වෙලා මොකක් හරි secretion එකක් release hormone එක release කරයි කියලානේ. Produce කරයි කියලානේ මේ අදාළ hormone එකකින්, but it's not like that. It's also again stimulating another endocrine gland. ඒවට අපි කියනවා trophic hormones කියලා. But also the hormone prolactin, which is secreted by anterior pituitary, is not trophic hormone, as its target sites are non-endocrine tissues. එයා කෙලින්ම prolactin වල target එක වෙන non endocrine gland එකක්. එතකොට ඒකෙදි කෙලින්ම secretion එකක් release කරනවා. ඒකට ඒක non-trophic එකක්. හැබැයි මෙතන important point, this is the most important part. Prolactin promotes only non-trophic effects, but the growth hormone secreted by anterior pituitary having trophic and non-trophic effects. Trophic effects is the target sites can be endocrine cells. සමහර වෙලාවට growth hormone එක දාන්න. growth hormone එක මුළු full body එකේම total body එකේම එක එක cells වලට මේක influence කරනවා. so ඒක effects තියෙනවා. එතකොට සමහර cells endocrine cells involved, endocrine cells stimulate කරනවා. ඒතකොට අපි කියනවා මොකක් කියලාද? trophic effect එකක් කියලා. සමහරවල් normal cells මේ stimulate කරනවා. ඒතකොට ඒකෙන් මොනවාද secretions form වෙන්න පුළුවන්, නැත්නම් growth එක වෙන්න පුළුවන්. So then that's we call non-trophic effects. So growth hormone having both trophic effects and non-trophic effects. Right? Okay, so if you have any questions from that, just ask, put in the chat. Okay, so that's question number 28. Answer is GH. Right, answer is GH. Then මෙතන TSH then done on TSH secrete කරන්නේ TRH වලින්, ACTH CRH වලින් තමයි influence වෙන්නේ. Prolactin anterior pituitary hormone, prolactin වලටත් තියෙනවා ඒක stimulate කරන එකකුයි inhibit කරන hormone එකකුයි hypothalamus වල එක stimulate කරන්නේ PRH prolactin releasing hormone එක. එතකොට මේක decrease කරන්නේ PIH prolactin inhibiting hormone එක. Right? Then GH also having like that, GHRH and GHIH, GHRIH. So GHRH one is stimulating GH hormone, GHRIH inhibiting both GH and also TSH. No, TSH decrease. FSH is involving female reproductive system, its growth and especially during proliferative phase. Okay, 28 question. Then we'll move quickly. We need to move 2021 A-level paper. Right, 21. Select the correct statement. Miss correct, incorrect කියනවා නම් circle කරා යන්න ඕ underline. Correct statement regarding human brain. First one, brainstem is developed from embryonic midbrain and hindbrain. Embryonic midbrain and hindbrain. එතකොට අර embryologically ඔක අපි බෙදනවානේ forebrain එකෙන් මොන structures ද හැදෙන්නේ, midbrain එකෙන් මොන embryological midbrain එකෙන් what are the structures for, and hindbrain what are the structures for. So that those things need to remember because that mentioned clearly in your resource book. So ඔක තියෙන්නේ first page එකට වගේ යන්න ඕනේ. First you can see first page එක මේ මෙතන තියෙනවානේ මේ systems එක nervous system එකේ organization එක nervous organization එක එක phylums වල still that part is not questioned, right? තාම අහලා නැහැ MCQs වල. ඔතන හම්බෙන්නේ නැතුව ඇති මේ එතකොට මේ series එකේ but that එක future එක අනිවාර්යෙන් that should be coming. නම ඕන question එකක් මේ ටික structure දෙවට නැවිලා තියෙනවා but MCQ එකට still no. Here central nervous system page number 5th වල තියෙනවා. Central nervous system consists of the brain and spinal cord in vertebrates. The central nervous system develops from the hollow dorsal nerve cord during embryonic development. Then anterior part of the central nervous system enlarges and forms the brain, which has three major regions. One is forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Anterior part okay enlarge වෙලා brain එක හදනවා. So brain having three major areas. So the first one forebrain එකකින් එතන form වෙනවා කියලා තියෙනවා three area මේ four things here. Forebrain then main parts of human brain. Just go to next paragraph. Here the forebrain gives rise to cerebrum, thalamus, hypothalamus and phenal body. Thalamus, hypothalamus, cerebrum and phenal body. ගොඩක්කට අමතක වෙන්නේ phenal body එක. Phenal body forebrain part එක. Then hindbrain gives rise to cerebellum, pons varoli and medulla oblongata. Right? Midbrain only gives rise to the part of brain stem. මොකද midbrain එක කියන්නේ brain stem එකේ part එකක්. ඒතකොට මේ brain එකෙන් අන්න ඒ area එක විතරක් හදනවා. but hindbrain එකයි forebrain එකයි very important. එකකින් හදන structures ටික මතක තියාගන්න. Then time තිබ්බනම් I ask you to write but since time is limited I'm going just individually just you need to try out questions ලියලා try කරන්න. Then next question first one brain stem is developed from embryonic midbrain. Yeah upper part එක midbrain එකෙන් හදන්නේ. ඊට පස්සේ two areas තියෙනවා pons varoli brain stem එකෙන් මැද and then medulla oblongata. So those three areas are formed in that's included into brain stem, right? Brain stem. Then pons varoli and medulla oblongata formed by hindbrain. Then the second one, frontal lobes of the cerebral cortex contain visual sensory areas. Frontal lobes එක නෙමෙයි occipital lobe එක තමයි visual sensory areas. the visual information ගන්න frontal lobe එක නෙමෙයි occipital lobe එක. සහයක process කරන්නේත් එතන. Third one, midbrain contains the fourth ventricle of the brain. Ventricular system. Have you heard ventricular system? There are four ventricles for that. First two තියෙන cerebrum එකේ cerebral hemispheres, two hemispheres, right and left hemispheres. So those inside those two four ventricles are there. So then third එක තියෙන thalamus hypothalamus area එකේ thalamus hypothalamus area එකේ. Then third ventricle is there. Some images also I can show you. Just give me a minute. Okay, so here just look at the image. This one, teach me anatomy image. So here you can see first two ventricles we called as lateral ventricles. Those are in cerebral hemispheres. Then third ventricle in just below it, that's the area in thalamus hypothalamus area. Then fourth ventricle, it's in the brain stem. Again, cerebellum එකයි pons varoli and also medulla oblongata on areas වලින් cover වෙන තමයි මේ last එක තියෙන්නේ. Fourth ventricle එක දැන් මේ image එකේ fourth ventricle, you can see that in the brain stem, right? So just yeah, ventricular system is a network of 4 communicating cavities in the brain responsible for producing cerebrospinal fluid, CSF කියලා කියන cerebrospinal fluid එක හදනවා. Okay, then we'll move again to the next answer. So midbrain contains fourth ventricle of the brain. No, midbrain brain stem area එකේ තියෙන්නේ mainly third ventricle. Corpus callosum connects 2 hemispheres of cerebellum. Yeah, corpus callosum connects 2 hemispheres but not cerebellum. Cerebrum. Hari cerebrum එක තමයි. ඒකේ right and left hemispheres are connected by corpus callosum. Fifth one, thalamus regulates sleep and awake cycle. Third time we are discussing this. No, not thalamus, it's hypothalamus. Right, so fifth one wrong, fourth one wrong, third wrong, second one also wrong. So first one only the answer. Then 25th question, events that occur after the membrane potential of a neuron is enlarged above the threshold value are given below. So just easy, select the correct sequence of the event, but make version එකත් if you can write action potential, and you describe the action potential process with that graph, that important. Since the time is limited, I am not going to write that, but as I say, like when I discussing this in physical classes, I gave that action potential එක ලියන්න ඕනේ, and also synaptic cleft එකේ process එකක් ලියන්න ඕනේ. මොකද last all syllabus they ask this frequently again, multiple times they ask. So just write and practice. If you can get all the points that in your textbook, the resource book, then it will be fine. If not, just write in red pen and correct the issues. Okay, then sorry, sorry, it's disturb. 25th. Okay, so B. So අපිට start කරන්න B වලින්. Sodium plus channels are open and sodium plus inflow. එකත් එක්ක මොකද වෙන්නේ? Membrane becomes depolarized. Then එතකොට B, D, then K plus channels open and K plus outflow. එකත් එක්ක membrane becomes repolarized. Repolarized. So just practice that essay question, that's important one. Then 26th question, select the response with the correct match of the hormone and its main function. First one, adrenaline mediates long-term stress responses. No, adrenaline mediates short-term stress responses. Right? Second one, prolactin stimulates milk ejection. Prolactin milk ejection නෙමෙයි, oxytocin milk ejection මෙයා කරන්නේ milk production එක. Third one, melatonin what they do at biology maintains biological rhythm, regulating biological rhythm. Thyroxine increase metabolic, ගොඩක් අය මෙන්න මේ metabolic rate කියන answer එක තමයි ගහලා ඉන්නේ. හැබැයි ඒක නෙමෙයි. මේක වෙන්න ඕනේ basal metabolic rate. If you go to the text quickly here, just look at this reproduction. Here, thyroid gland, thyroid hormones increase the basal metabolic rate and heat production. Increase තමයි හැබැයි metabolic rate නෙමෙයි basal metabolic rate. There's a difference between normal metabolic rate and basal metabolic rate කියන එක. But that's not the time for discussing those. But in theory class sometimes I think you have heard that, but you can just search. Increases metabolic rate, wrong. LH stimulates spermatogenesis, that's true. In males, spermatogenesis stimulated by LH hormone. Then 44th, sensory receptors are connected with nervous system, that's correct. A is correct. So make the answer the fifth one. Are connected with sensory systems, that's true. A is correct. B include specialized glands designed to receive specific stimuli. No, right? Specialized glands නෙමෙයි glands වෙන්නේ sensory receptors. Third one, C shows sensory adaptation. Yeah, sensory adaptation කියන එක we can observe, we can see there. D can amplify the sensory signal. Yes, that's also true. E detect the stimuli that arise only in the external environment. No, internal environment signals වලට මෙයා response කරනවා. දැන් blood glucose level up වුණොත් response කරනවා, low වුණොත් response කරනවා. but ඉතින් කරන්න දෙයක් නෑ. ඔයාගේ insulin resistance build වෙලා නම් response කරන්න තුයනවා. but otherwise the respond. Then temperature changes වලට, water level changes වලට, iron level changes වලට they respond, right? So then E incorrect, B incorrect. So answers are only A, C, D. So second one is the answer. Right, second one is the answer. Then we'll move to 2022 A level. Here there also you have 4 questions, but the time is now going. But anyway, 22 එකත් බලමු ඉක්මනට. In the human brain, cardiovascular center is located in the simple medulla oblongata. Then 25th one, some actions of the autonomic nervous system of the man are given below. So which of the above actions carried out by the parasympathetic division? Inhibit salivary gland secretion. Salivary gland secretion inhibit කරන්නේ sympathetic division එකෙන්, parasympathetic division නෙමෙයි. So yes, okay. එතකොට මෙතන අහන්නේ parasympathetic actions. So A is not correct. Stimulate activity of pancreas, that's correct. Because digestion එක improve කරනවා parasympathetic. B is correct. Promotes emptying urinary bladder, yes, urinary එක stimulate කරනවා. එතකොට B and C correct. Answer number 4. Then 26th one, select the correct statement regarding sensory receptors of man. Receptors for taste are modified neurons. Olfactory receptors are show sensory adaptation. Ruffini corpuscles detect cold and heat. Fourth one, cones are more sensitive to light than rods. No, rods තමයි sensitive. මොකද dark vision දෙනවා කියන එයා තමයි sensitive වැඩි. Then hair cells of the vestibule of the ear detect angular movements. No, angular movements detect කරන්නේ semicircular canals. So answer is number 2. Then the 27th one, the hormone secreted by anterior pituitary which has non-trophic effects. Then easy. We discussed that earlier. That prolactin. Okay, so this time is okay for today. Just essay question also you need to write, right? Complete it. Then we remain some questions 23, 24 and 25. So I will discuss that also and put a recording for that also. So I'll finish the session for today and we'll meet with full paper discussion on Friday. Friday we join. We discuss a full paper, a provincial paper we need to discuss this week. We start that. Okay. So right, work hard, and we have 7 weeks of time for the exam. Have a nice day.